witness next witness, please.
We'd like to call up Daniel Webster.
Now, Ms. Webster, as the leader of the Rebellious movement, what would you say are some tenets of that?
Please state your name and your job.
My name is Daniel Webster. I'm one of the trustees for the board of Dartmouth College.
From my understanding, there has been a court case known as Dartmouth College versus Woodward. Can you please elaborate what the foundation of this case was and what the end result was?
Of course. So let's start from the foundation of the case. Dartmouth College was granted a charter by King George III of Great Britain, in which the charter spelled out the purpose of the school, granted the land we needed, as well as defined the structure needed to rule the college. As time progressed, we as the trustees voted the president off of his position for his inability to govern the school properly. All of a sudden, the state legislature of New Hampshire decided to get the governor of the state instated to that position by adding new members to the board of trustees in attempts to sway votes in terms of reinstatement. With this action, the state created a board of visitors with veto power over trustee decisions. This turned our private institution into a public one. We therefore took our case to the Supreme Court to declare the actions of the New Hampshire state government as unlawful and unconstitutional.
So your institution went from a private charter to a public entity due to state interference.
That is correct.
By going public, what did that mean for the college?
So basically, the college's book of records, the corporate seal, and other corporate property were removed. We no longer retain the title as a small private college. Furthermore, if anything we taught or said at Dartmouth during its time as a public school against the state, then the state would have the capability to shut down our university.
Objection on relevance as to why exactly the college matters to the case.
The state, we would like to reply with that the case of Dartmouth College versus Woodward clearly would set a precedent for corporate personhood, and therefore is clearly relevant to the case.
Thank you. Can you please explain to the court what the outcome of Dartmouth College versus Woodward was?
Certainly. In simple terms, the Supreme Court ruling resulted in changing Dartmouth back to a private institution. The ruling strengthens the contract clause and limits the power of states to interfere with private charters, such as Dartmouth, as well as other commercial enterprises.
Thank you so much, Mr. Webster. No further questions.
Your Honor, I must state that we are not arguing about precedent. We are arguing that the precedent that was set needs to be overturned. For example, in Dred Scott versus Sanford, the Supreme Court ruled that African Americans would never be granted the status as equal citizens and be representatives. Just because something is made precedent, it doesn't make it right. As a matter of fact, while the defense is talking about precedents, I would like to state that there have been numerous court decisions that restrict the First Amendment, such as Shanka v. United States, which restricted inflammatory speech against others and the government, and was only partially overturned in 1969. So there are restrictions to the First Amendment, to the people, and so there must be restrictions to the corporations as well. The defense's arguments are not only incohesive, but they are also based on unstable foundations, which is why you must turn to the prosecution, which is based on substantial and empirical evidence.
Your Honor, the defense would like to present 10 court rulings that are in opposition to the prosecution's side. So can we present it to you?
Yes.
Cool.
These 10 cases clearly represent that corporate personhood has actually has been, like I said, multiple times, has been legitimized. Now, also, the prosecution constantly brings up the fact that they are focusing on the aftermath of the Citizens United versus FEC case. So let's do just that. In the aftermath of the Citizens United versus FEC case, $300 million was funneled in to the 2012 election, the general elections. However, let's look at the 2008 elections. $400 million was funneled into that election. Clearly more than what happened after Citizens United. So when they try to say that the aftermath of Citizens United was actually infringement on the rights of the individual, that's clearly false, because right before, in 2008, $400 million, over $100 million more than the 2012 elections, was funneled into the general election, which provided much more funding for the campaigns. That was our redirect. Yeah, exactly.
So do you have further witnesses?
We have one more witness, Your Honor.
I mean,
Steve already.
if the evidence is objectively false, are we allowed to reject on that basis? If they present evidence as
I don't
objective.
think we have time to determine if the evidence that they just,
I mean,
No, they didn't read any citation.
they submitted it to the court.
No, that's different than what he said. If he's talking about the court rulings, and then
Right.
the thing that we're objecting to is his assertion that the 2008 election cost more than elections after Citizens United. Like, we're saying that there's no empirical evidence for that, and we bring up two separate testimonies. This is the 2012 election cost 3 times as more as the 2008 election, and like, we have empirical evidence about that. We read that in our testimony and in my opening statement, and that's like objectively false evidence.
This evidence was
We
actually
provide you with the evidence.
this evidence was actually not submitted to the defense before the case. Therefore, it should be repealed from this decision.
Interesting. That has not been, I can't speak to that because I haven't seen that evidence. So we're going to move forward respectfully with your next witness.
Your Honor, we have one more witness, Mrs. Pablo. Please state what type of business you own, how long you've been in business, and if you've ever donated to a campaign before.
I own a pizza bar alongside my husband. We've been in business for over 25 years. We are located in San Ramon, and our store is truly one of a kind. As for campaign donations, yes, we've donated to different campaign causes over the years that we strongly believed in.
What's the most you've ever donated towards a campaign, and to whom?
This past election, we donated over $30,000 to the incumbent of California's 15th district, Representative Swallow.
How do you classify your store?
Obviously a small business. It's just a store that we decided to open 26 years ago, and till this day, it's been running as successful as ever.
So does that mean that you shouldn't have felt the pain of BICRA?
I wish. We are incorporated. Even though we are a small business, it doesn't mean we can't apply for an IPO. As a restaurant, many accidents are bound to arise, but we don't want to be sued.
That's interesting. Isn't that using a corporation to shield yourself a bit in an immoral way?
No. Listen, if anything, people should be thanking the fact that they are able to sue the corporation itself. They have assets which could prove to be more lucrative if, in fact, they win.
Thanks so much, Ms. Pablo. No further questions.
Prosecution.
James Box, the man who defended Citizens United, said that you needed at least $100,000 to contribute to political campaigns and make an impact. So clearly, this small business cannot contribute that amount of money. But you know who can? Pizza Hut and Domino's. They have contributed over $600,000, up from $174,000 in 2008 to campaigns in 2012. As a result, they pushed a piece of legislation in 2013 that allowed their food to be accepted on the food stamps program. Mrs. Pavlov's food, even though it is of the same price and the same product, is not accepted on food stamps, and therefore she doesn't have access to this huge market, and it is detrimental to your business. So I would like to thank the defense for bringing up a witness who is a prime example of the exact same type of person who would be hurt by the Citizens United decision.
Now, what the witness actually brought to this case is the fact that she was in fact a corporation. Now, the prosecution has definitely brought up two big corporations such as Domino's and Pizza Hut, just showing the fact that there's inequality between corporations themselves. Now, there's inequality between individuals like myself and them as well, but that doesn't mean that we can't contribute to campaigns, to general campaigns. So when there's inequality between corporations themselves, corporate personhood is actually legitimizing the fact that there is in fact a legitimate entity within each corporation, and they each have their own right to donate to a certain campaign in each general election. Thank you.
Any further witnesses?
No, but we would, there's the defense rights.
Okay, it's come to my attention, it's been substantiated that the information about the cost of the 2008-2012 elections was not submitted to the court beforehand. Therefore, we have to strike that information from the record. So
That was in our
the jury will not
Your
consider
Honor.
that information. We have 3 to 4 minutes right now to gather our thoughts and be prepared for the prosecution's closing argument. And then we will finish with the defense's closing
Your Honor, if I may respond, we
You
had
may
actually...
approach the bench, that's fine. Okay, everybody else, can take a deep breath.
All right, 5-minute recess.